I'm Siefer. I am the founder and chancellor, I call it, of Shiny Door. With Shiny Door, we provide social networking guidance and workshops to the hesitant, folks who are a little unsure about whether or not social networking has any value. And today we're going to talk very briefly about online and offline social networking. Your offline efforts and your online efforts should be integrated. Just going to coffee with someone or just connecting with folks on LinkedIn will not really get you as far as you really could if you used both. Using the online social networking to expand your network, find new people, meet with them then, coffee, on the phone, whatever it is. And you can find those folks through colleagues, through interest groups, all of that. But then the opposite is true too. So if you do go to an event and you meet someone in person, to then be able to connect with that person online and further develop that relationship much more efficiently and quickly than you could if you waited to see them again at another event in person. So I want to ask the group if anyone has any examples of how online and offline networking has impacted them and had a positive outcome or a negative outcome. We'll throw that out there too, because that's also reality of life.
I've got one right now.
Okay.
Angela actually is my example. I first became aware of her at the 2 Point Ohio event, which was in support of Barack Obama's candidacy. And I would see her show up from time to time on the Tech Columbus MeetUp. And I finally contacted her via Facebook and said, we should connect. And she said, let's meet first.
How did I respond specifically? Do you remember?
You said, I don't connect to anyone who I've not met with personally.
So would you like to go to coffee or lunch? And then Dave and I went to lunch, and my end of that story then, Dave had met with one of his friends, just happened across here at a library, and said, hey, you know what would be good for your organization is this social networking stuff that Angela's teaching. I've now talked to that woman, and I have a meeting with her. It's a potential client, and it all came because Dave took the first initiative, and then I took the second initiative, and it's a mixture of that online and that offline. Great example. Thank you very much.
I will offer one. About a year ago, looking for a job, and I was doing a lot of networking both in person and on the internet. So I was using extensively LinkedIn. Friend on LinkedIn, went through his contacts, discovered a recruiter that I needed to meet. He made the introduction. That recruiter then connected me through another recruiter, which led to a job. A significant job. And as I was explaining to Angela earlier, marketing, whatever endeavor you're looking for, someone told me that it's a lot like direct marketing. In direct marketing, if you get a 1% result, you're doing fantastic. And in that job search, I saw, contacted or met 102 people, had 2 job offers, both came at the same time.
But you had to go through all those other folks before you, and you don't
Yes.
know which one, right? So
You
you're
don't.
networking with all these people at the same time. Some of them are going to end up resulting in partnerships or some other kind of relationship or a client, but you don't know which one it's going to be. So you have to strategically use your time and determine which ones have the greatest opportunity.
You have to work them all.
Right. With all of this networking, the way that one receives the most benefit is to be genuine, right? So when you're meeting with someone, it's not going in, here's my business card, because what's that make people do? You are boring, right? Because you're a salesy type person who wants to talk to people pushing their products. But if you're an interesting person, and you are genuinely interested in what that other person is doing, then you're developing that relationship. So they may not have a project for you or client possibilities or referrals or whatever, but you now have a relationship with this person, so when something pops up, they're going to go, oh yeah.
I have one very important thing that I've learned from networking, and it's really good for your own self-esteem and for mine. Okay. When you're networking, it's not about what I can get.
Yes.
It's what I can offer you. So
Absolutely.
when you're talking to someone, obviously we're all there to try to get something. We're going to be obvious about that. But you also want to say, this is a two-way street. I have resources too. How can I help you? What is it you're looking for? What do you need? How can I help you? You know what's funny? 9 out of 10 times they'll say, no, I'm fine. But usually people don't make that offer. And it does really well for your own disposition.
And sometimes you don't even, it's not even a direct kind of way that that person will help you or you'll help them, right? Dave didn't necessarily offer to assist me with my business development, but because we're friends now and we trust and respect each other, when he came across an opportunity, he's going to send it my way because we've developed this relationship and he knows that I'm a good, honorable person. So it's that relationship development that can grow your business and develop your business, but you're doing it in a way that is, it's not offensive and it's actually positive. Any other examples of how social networking and offline networking efforts have impacted you?
If I could just add one thing, as well.
Yes.
The one thing that you said about giving something, I think it's also important to note that if you don't feel you have something to give, just ask that person, is there something I can thank you? I had a leader in the field for data mining. He's just an author of all the books I read. Sent an email. He actually replied with a phone call. Couldn't believe it. And here's a leader. He speaks to all these conferences around the world. He's talking to me, and I'm like, thank you so much. Is there anything I can do? And he goes, well, I don't know. If I think of anything, I'll call you. 2 days later, he goes, can you review my new book? It just came out on Amazon. So I went and bought it, put up a review, and it was just a great feeling.
Nice. That's a great example. Thank you.
And just yesterday, one of the folks that I follow on Twitter was looking for a local travel agent that can help her get an emergency flight out of town for a family emergency.
Oh, wow.
And I just retweeted her question on Twitter. And 3 minutes later, someone in my network came back with the name and a phone number of a travel agent that was willing to help her
Wow,
deal with this. And I've seen those kinds of things happen a lot, where if you're having this emergency and you just let your network know, somebody knows someone who can help you out really quick.
Great.
I have one too. On Thanksgiving Day, there was a guy that Twittered that his garage door was stuck open. This is Thanksgiving Day. And I had a couple of contacts and was able to help him find a person to fix his garage door on Thanksgiving Day.
That's a great example.
And I would harbor a guess that all of us are in the room today because of that very type of connection.
Yes, that's
At some
great.
point, we all first found out about each other, except for probably Phyllis.
But that was through
And
networking
Dave
too.
and I.
Old school
but it
networking.
was-
It really was.
But
Yes.
that's important, right? Did you guys meet offline?
We did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so now you're also communicating online, right? So you're developing your relationship through Twitter, right? But you had met offline, and now we're all here in a physical room together because we promoted this group here, this idea of getting together and talking, this tweet up, through online efforts.
Right, and I think that's something I'm glad that you mentioned, because I think a lot of times with social media, that term, people think it specifically applies to online.
Right.
And so I like, the idea of obviously that you have, I'm dealing with that within a business situation now where they're willing to do one but not the other. And it's like, you know what, then you're sort of not really getting the full benefit
yes,
of the whole
totally
thing.
missing out.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good point, because it's the same idea, it's just to connect, right?
Right.
But there's just different tools.
Sure.
So
It's
what people
totally
have been doing
different
all
tools.
for all of history of man, right? They're just different tools. But what's also neat is that those basic characteristic traits of being genuine, sincere, helpful, polite,
Right.
respectful, those still come through.
It's
So-
what our parents have been teaching us for years, right? And now we're finally throwing it into the business world and talking about it in that light. One of my best examples is I was on the West Coast for work, and I was flying into DC for a conference, and I was getting there at the end of the first day. So my flight wasn't coming in until like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm in Vegas en route, so I'm at my layover, and I checked my phone, because I had Facebook on my phone, and I have an event invitation to a social gathering of that conference, but they hadn't planned it in advance. They kind of planned it on the fly. So I get this event invitation, recognize that they're going to be at such and such restaurant that, from this time to this time that evening. So I